Well, it's Friday, the 1st of July, and we have a brand new tropical system to talk about. That is Tropical Storm Bonnie that is spinning here off the coast of Nicaragua and Costa Rica and two other areas that the Hurricane Center is watching as well. The first is just off the southeast coast, an area of low pressure that developed off the coast of Savannah, Georgia, and there's a slight chance, a 10% chance, that this could develop into something tropical over the next 5 days. It's really close to land, and we have a cold front that's going to be coming in that'll interact with it and help push it out to sea. But the main concern with this is some of the rain that we could see across the southeast coastline, which could eventually even work its way into Hampton Roads with some scattered showers and thunderstorms for the Independence Day weekend. In the meantime, a second system that is down here near the Lesser Antilles, that also has a 10% chance of development. This isn't too terribly far from where Bonnie, which at the time was potential tropical cyclone number 2, tracked there towards Trinidad and Tobago, but the atmosphere not quite as conducive for development. We have some strong winds that are working its way in, so that's why only a 10% chance of development there. But we are talking about Bonnie. It has strengthened. It formed at 9 o'clock this morning with 40-mile-per-hour winds, and now it has 45-mile-per-hour winds. And we actually have a Hurricane Hunter aircraft that is flying from the Virgin Islands down towards the system to look at it just before it makes landfall during the overnight here along parts of Costa Rica and Nicaragua. So we give you a little bit of a closer look at that track. We do have tropical storm warnings up for the east and west coasts of those two countries. The storm has winds of 45 miles per hour with gusts up to 60, and it's moving to the west at 17 miles per hour. It'll cross over Central America and then emerge into the Pacific and likely strengthen into a hurricane with 80-mile-per-hour winds south of Mexico. Now, if the storm were to hold together, which is what we expect, it will keep the name Bonnie. About 20 years ago or so, the National Hurricane Center and the group of meteorologists that come up with the names, the World Meteorological Organization, they determined that if a storm crosses over Central America from one basin to the other, from the Atlantic to the Pacific or Pacific to the Atlantic, that if it holds together, it will retain its name. In the past, when it would cross over, it would get a new name for the Pacific. So this would only be the second storm that has done that since that change was made. We've had some other storms that have crossed over in the past, mostly from the Atlantic to the Pacific, though there have been a couple that have crossed from the Pacific over into the Atlantic basin. Now, all the computer models very much in good agreement, with the exception of this one, we can ignore that, of working its way across Central America into the Pacific Ocean and not affecting any more land masses. But the big concern with Nicaragua and Costa Rica especially, that there are tall mountains there, and the copious amounts of rain that we could see with this system would cause some flooding and some mudslides. Now, this is the second name on our list of our 2022 Atlantic hurricanes. Of course, it's the first day of July, the start of the second month of hurricane season. We had Alex last month in June, and now we have Bonnie. As we go through the list, we'll likely, and of course, add more: Colin, Danielle, Earl, Fiona, Gaston, and continuing on to the second and third columns. Now, where do we typically see hurricanes develop in the month of July? Well, certainly not across extreme southern parts of the Caribbean. The Gulf of Mexico, one of the most common places because the water temperature is starting to warm. These systems work their way towards Texas, Louisiana, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi. Second area is in the Western Caribbean, but not far south like we're seeing here with Bonnie. It's usually here off the coast of Mexico and just south of Cuba, and those systems typically work their way into the Gulf of Mexico as well. Another area just off the southeast coastline, of course, we have that one system that we're watching that we're not expecting it to develop, but these are the sorts of systems that can make a run towards the southeast or towards the Cape Hatteras area, or just off the coast of Virginia and North Carolina. And then here in the central Atlantic, just east of the Lesser Antilles, we see those storms really start to pick up in the intertropical convergence zone. So what is the Hurricane Center forecasting for 2022? 14 named storms is our average, and they're forecasting 14 to 21, so an above average season. Same thing with hurricanes and major hurricanes, which are category 3 and higher. So we have our second named storm so far this season, and of course we still have 5 months to go, and we'll of course keep you updated on 13 News Now throughout the hurricane season.